Have you ever wondered why in some seasons you're good and things don't bother you and you're like totally fine? And then other things that seem like the smallest in the entire universe and it bothers you. And you're like, why does that affect me so much? I would like to tell you why. I am Dr. Shannan Crawford, clinical psychologist and CEO of Crawford Clinics, where we do mental health reimagined. That most of the time people are exposed to basic counseling, which is fantastic, and it helps at a software level. Our goal at Crawford Clinics is to use a proven process called Restoring-Self-Cohesion, which means we're not just interested in only reducing symptoms, although of course that's important, but it's also getting to those root issues of where there's an inner conflict, of where there's parts of you that are holding things from the past, and they've been doing it for so long that now the dam is starting to leak. And if your inner world has been holding a lot for a long time, then it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's that last little thing, and then all of it comes out at once. One, I want to normalize your experience. You're not broken. And there's not something wrong with you. But I can tell you as a psychologist that you have a beautiful, nuanced, complex inner world. And it's like an ecosystem where unhealth breeds more unhealth. And when you invest in good mental health counseling and you start working on complicated grief, you start working on those sources of the trigger, and the places of where you've been denying and rejecting and ignoring things for so long, and you finally resolve that. It's kind of like minimized browser windows in a computer that now you're finally bringing it up, resolving it so you can X out of that minimized browser window and you get all that energy, all that capacity back into your prefrontal cortex. When that happens, that smart brain, now you feel like yourself. Your personality is normal instead of like, why am I acting so weird? Why am I easily offended? Why am I biting everybody's head off? Why am I shut down and feel like isolating? Instead of that reaction, you feel like you. You'll also notice that you'll be able to access language. You'll be able to remember things. You'll be more clear. Your hemispheres, especially at the left side, your temporal lobe and the prefrontal, are able to engage more readily. Now, this is not a solve to every single thing, but I will tell you, the more that your inner world psychologically is in harmony, which is what self-cohesion means, the more that your inner world is at rest and it is well with your soul, the more your true self gets to lead. So let's go back. You know how those days that you're like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, and then all of a sudden the smallest little thing and you're like, I'm not good. We all go through it, me included. And in those moments when it happens, that's an invitation. It may not feel like it. It may actually feel like the worst moment ever and you feel abandoned and God has left you and your family and friends don't love you and you're alone and you hate everyone and everything and you just feel so hopeless and discouraged. Can I change that narrative? Can I invite you to see another perspective? Those moments will come for all of us. Grief will happen. Heartache will happen. And when it hits, if you learn how to be kind and curious toward the part of you that is flooded, that is triggered. I was in session with some people the other day as a psychologist, and the wife started to say, I feel alone, I feel overwhelmed, this feels too much. And I'm like, yes, right? I can either stay at the software level of like, oh, what is overwhelming about what we're talking about? But instead, as a restoring self-cohesion therapist, what part of you is feeling like this? What other times have you felt like that? Like, let's draw you in. With kindness and curiosity, we go to the hard drive. When we get triggered, we have this glimpse, this moment where we now have access, like an invisible veil has been removed temporarily, and it's like we've dropped down into the basement of the unconscious mind. May you enter in. And not willy-nilly, not self-pity, sit in a dark room and cry. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying intentionally, leaning in with warmth and kindness, with love. For me, that feels like an idiot, that feels stupid, that feels hopeless, that feels unlovable, that feels so fractured and broken that nobody would ever want me. I love this part of me. And if you decide in that moment to picture no longer separating But it's like you're peeling these invisible layers, invisible film, if you will. And that's the quantum physics element that I really believe we have parts of us that have been held captive that we're bringing back through our intentionality of pursuing the heart of the wounded side of self. We peel those invisible films and we bring into attachment the me that is alone, that is sad, that is afraid, that is ashamed, that is angry, whatever is stored, finally being acknowledged. Now it comes up in a way that it feels like it is me. It is my life today. But if you notice, I'm normal, I'm not okay, that's the moment you have access to your unconscious mind. And if that moment you bend down with kindness and curiosity, you're not an observer, you're not criticizing, saying, get it together, what's wrong with me, I shouldn't have these thoughts, right? That's still intellectualized, that's still separating and creating a judgment as if this is a weak, bad part of you. Instead, humility, empathy, undergirding. I love the part of me that feels broken. I love the part of me that feels lost and can't do it, feels scared and overwhelmed. I choose to enter into the sacred, holy place of brokenness, where there's pain that's been trapped in there for years, and it matters. You matter. And in our society, we want the 5 steps to just knock it out. And that's the opposite approach of what will actually lead to a thriving and flourishing soul. If you treat yourself like a 5-step program, get it together, here's my mantra, here's my positive thinking, here's my worksheet, here's a little workbook that I worked on, you will be intellectual, judgmental, critical, and you'll be mad and frustrated at yourself, the you that is in pain, instead of entering in, coming underneath, supporting and loving the part of self that needs to be seen and known. When you know, okay, I am feeling flooded. In my own life, I had a couple weeks that I was just kind of a little bit off. I was okay. And there was a situation that had happened, and I told lots of people about it, and I laughed about it because I'm like, can you believe the ridiculousness? Like, this feels like a movie, like a Lifetime TV movie. Like, who does this happen to? Like, what in the bizarre, right? Do you have those moments where you're like, I literally think I'm watching a very poorly written Lifetime movie? And I don't see the positive kissing at the end part of the movie yet. And so I told people, I thought it was funny. And then I had a phone call with a friend. And she's one of those like heart friends, you know, those they ask and they actually mean it. How are you? Instead of being able to blow her off, she was like, no, really, how are you? And I was like, no. And I had that moment. You guys know that wrestle where it's like, do I say it or do I keep it inside? And I finally just broke and I'm like, all right, I'm not okay. I'm actually really sad about the thing that 10 minutes ago I thought I was laughing about because I was in shock denial. I wasn't present with the grief yet, and that's okay. My psychological makeup wasn't ready, and that's a great stage of grief is shock denial. And then I entered into the space that I'm not okay. My heart is broken. I am disappointed. I'm grieved that that happened. This Lifetime movie segment that my life has become actually really hurt my heart. And I wasn't ready to acknowledge it until there was safety of a friend who genuinely wanted to know. Or maybe in your life, a counselor who genuinely wants to know. A friend, a pastor, a family member, a spouse, somebody who genuinely is asking. I hope that you have the courage to enter into that pain. I know it sucks. I know it's hard. Nobody wants to do it. I don't either. I talk about it, and then I have to do it in my own life. Not cute. And I snot cried, like the ugly, unattractive, real bad kind. But I felt so much relief. I didn't know that the weeks leading up to it, where I was kind of like a little bit feeling doubt, a little bit kind of like emotional and hormonal, right? I thought it was hormones. What I actually was just real life. It was just the reality that shock denial had worn off, and there was sorrow. And then it was righteous anger, that there are things that happen that are wrong, and people shouldn't do those things to you. That should not have happened. And it's healthy and it's honoring to acknowledge righteous anger, to give yourself permission to acknowledge when you're angry. Because when you don't know how to honor other people's anger. I have another friend. Love her. She loves me. Great friend. But she's the kind that doesn't process grief. She doesn't work through things. And so I can tell that she's almost like impatient, like, wait, we already talked about that. You're still dealing with that? And it's like those kinds of friends, I know they're doing the best that they know and we love each other, but because she hasn't entered into her own grief, she thinks you talk about it once and it should be over. You shouldn't be still dealing with that. And I'm a human who has to emotionally be available for other people all day long as a psychologist. So it's really important that I clean out my inner world and process and honor so that I can show up and give space and permission for people to be in their process, even if that takes a long time, that's okay. And it takes as long as it needs. And when we heal, now it's no longer a wound that can be triggered, right? Like a scab getting pulled off. Now it's a scar. And a scar can be a testimony that now you can put lemon on it, you can be around it, and it not impact in the same way. So if you've had moments where you're like, I'm good, I am not good, you're normal, you're not broken, there's not something wrong with you, but there is probably internal dynamics that need you to honor them, parts of self that need to be seen and known and acknowledged. And when you do that and you realize this trigger can work together for good, it's not good, it sucks, but it could work together for good because it's now giving you a glimpse to the part of you that's holding the pain. The sudden emotion. When emotion comes sudden, it comes quick and it comes fast, then you know that's a triggered emotion. You know it's not just today. The reason is you have to actually think about your emotions. So if something happens quick, happens fast, intense, and you're already offended, you're already hot and angry about it, you know it's from the past because you haven't had enough time to think about it. Shock denial, delay, actually having to have neural pathways connect to make meaning of what you're walking through. That has to happen before a real reaction if it's just today. But if it comes quick, it comes sudden, it comes intense, I call it like a volume dial. If it goes 0 to 10 real quick, you know it's triggered emotion. In that moment, that triggered emotion, it's like the vault opened, the lid is off, and now you have access to bend down and hug this part of self. And that is my objective, is that when we go through sorrow, that we're claiming ground, that we're regaining, that we're advancing into greater emotional health and vibrance on the inside. That the enemy may set up a trap, there may be something that's really terrible and it's not good, but the way to make it good is you use that trigger moment of whatever it just hit on the inside, bending down with honor, with curiosity and kindness to say, me that feels unworthy, unloved, unseen, alone, abandoned, forsaken, unwanted, hopeless, discouraged, depressed, despair, I love you. Me that's feeling scared, I love you. I see you. Father God, would you come and help me comfort this part? I bring you in as the comforter to bring kindness and love and compassion into the very place where this has been hidden and dormant inside of me for all of these years. I bring you in. And the way that I do that is I'll imagine there's like barriers, invisible, between me and this me that's holding the pain. And it's like I'm peeling the invisible film and I'm bending down and I'm hugging, wrapping my arms around the scared kid, the frightened part of me. And I'm saying, thank you for holding that pain. Thank you. And now I'm going to ask, what was the core belief that you believed that caused you to come down to the basement and hide down here, away from the conscious rest of me? And so then we can capture what was that core lie that was believed. And Lord, would you help me reject the lie, embrace the truth? And then, what did I use as a false comforter? The soul has to rely on something outside of us to feel better. So now I can reject the belief that I need people's approval for me to be okay. I reject the belief that I need finances, success, outward accomplishment, perfection, people-pleasing, performing, achieving, that I need addiction, that I need food, I need comfort, I need sex, I need porn, I need whatever that humans turn to. I need this became an idol. It's a false comforter on accident. We didn't realize it. But in that moment where we believed where we believed a lie, there was pain, and pain has to get comfort. And so you'll find when you're triggered, the knee-jerk reaction, the thing that you're like, the drive, the impulse, like, oh, okay, if I could just go home and X, when I can get alone and I can finally do that, then I'll feel better. Is it call your ex? Is it talk to somebody in a dating app, Is it to drink alcohol? Is it to eat a bunch of food? Is it to work harder and get more accomplishments? Is it to call somebody and make peace and make sure nobody's mad at you? What is that knee-jerk reaction to try to comfort and assuage where there's pain? That tells you what our idols are. Ours, mine included. And so if we can find out what's my knee-jerk comforter, and now I can say, hey, Lord, I want to hand that back to you. And would you teach my soul to trust and to come to you for comfort next time? And it's been really neat because I've walked through something in my own life. It was really unfair, really not okay. And I found that I didn't turn to my false comforters. And it was the first time in my life that even just the impulse wasn't there, that I immediately just wrapped my arms around the girl, the part of me that has a desire that is sad and hurt and hasn't been fulfilled. And there was mistreatment, there's bad things that happen. And so I'm honoring and grieving the today me that is feeling this, but I could tell it wasn't tied to the past anymore. And that's because I've been doing this for a very long time. And for most of the time, it has been tied to something in the past. And so I could release that grief, and you could release that grief. Last thing I want to say is remember, emotion is not a label. If you say, I am sad, I am angry, I am not okay with that, is not grieving. That is a cognitive label. That means you put a word to something that helps software. It does not help the hard drive to actually release the trapped energy of emotion that gets stored in the physical body. So a lot of people who just stay at the labeling of emotion and they're like, oh yeah, I've already gone to counseling. I've already worked on this. And I'm like, what did that look like? Like, explain that to me. Yeah, I talked about my dad and my mom and my childhood and molestation, rape, childhood, blah, 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 whatever happened. It's not a big deal. I already worked on that. And I can tell the indifference. Do you see how quickly and cavalier I just talked about major traumas? That's usually a signal to me that they've disassociated, they've talked about it, which is great. That's a first step. But it's not actually grieving. It's not entering into that sacred, hallowed space where pain has been held in the unconscious mind, and then physiologically, the body is still holding that trapped energy. We need that to actually come out of the body. And that's where having a trained therapist in restoring self-cohesion modality can help you navigate. What am I feeling? What's going on inside? Let's release it out of my system so I don't just keep having the feedback loop of getting angry and then getting angry again, getting sad and then getting sad again. But you've actually released it into a holding space. And that's what a restoring self-cohesion therapist is trained to do, to help you turn your trigger, where you're like, why am I feeling like this? Where is this coming from? Into gaining ground, gaining intimacy and connection and vibrancy and aliveness back inside of yourself, instead of workaholism, avoidance, busyness, distraction. You want to reconnect with your heart. Use your trigger for good. Turn it for good. Turn the tables that you regain ground inside of yourself. You reject unconscious lies. You reject false comforters, and you learn how to relate with the actual comforter of your soul. And in that space, there's vibrancy because you're now putting the unconscious parts back together at the table of your conscious committee. And that is the game changer of doing restoring self-cohesion therapy. If you would like to know more, CrawfordClinics.com. We have a team of therapists and coaches, and we are ready to help you turn your triggers into treasure hunts for each of the parts of you to come back online as if batteries are getting plugged back in. Many of our clients describe even focus and attention have increased, memory have improved, the desire to be entrepreneurial or adventurous or to start dating again or be involved in hobbies or passion areas that had been just kind of dormant and sagging. We reactivate that because we're reactivating you. We're not telling you what to do with a bunch of coping skills. Those are great and we will do that, but it's so much deeper to rebuild your inner world, your hard drive, so then you operate the way you're intended. Your heart comes online, and now you can run after your calling. Thanks, guys.